Welcome back to Access Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and I'll be doing a walkthrough and review of Maoyuu Maou Yuusha Episode 2. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out it's been 15 years within this anime series, and there's a war between demons and humans. Now, interestingly enough, the demons, at least the one we actually get to see, the Demon King, isn't exactly a demon. So it's kind of interesting. And the humans, well, they're humans, they're just very politically drawn, like they're stealing funds just for the war efforts to take out the demons so their own nations can survive. So their agricultural growth is kind of shot, in my opinion. It's kind of gone to hell. But that's where we're at there. But again, moving on past that, again, the main character, his name is Yuusha, and he is the hero within this anime series. Moving on to the Demon King, her name is Mao. And I know, female Demon King, it's just a title, you know. She's a Demon King regardless, and I love to see where this is going to go. Now again, moving on past that, now we are introduced to, you know, the hero, which is Yuusha, when he's leaving his companions to battle the Demon King. Kind of interesting, but I mean, you go alone in a castle to fight, you know, the king of the demons, you'd want your companions with you, you know? I mean, okay, so it's a little cocky, you want to go by yourself, be my guest, but he doesn't really explain why he leaves his companions behind, so now they're by themselves, and they don't really know what to expect. I mean, did he run away? Is he dead? And why did he do this? They don't know. Now again, they do draw their own conclusions. We do a little cutscene where, you know, they think he ran away probably. But moving on past that, when we actually get to see Yuusha and Mao together. Now, Mao really doesn't want to surrender as the Demon King. At the same time, she doesn't want to kill Yuusha. Instead, she wants to solve the agricultural growth for the humans so they can actually prosper, so they can end this war. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this war actually started, because, you know, to take out the actual Demon King. At one point in time, you can expect the demons were somewhat demonic and whatnot, but you know, the demons aren't exactly what they appear to be. I mean, they're just like humans. And again, like, who actually said demons are bad? That's where, well, Mao was actually going with it. That's her whole background, was like, well, who decided demons were this demonic? I mean, they're not all like that. So she actually wants to help the humans with their agricultural growth, so there's not going to be any more famine and whatnot. So it makes sense. Enough to sucker Yuusha into a pact with her. Now, it looks like a marriage proposal because she has love interest, but I really can't criticize on what it's really about because we don't really know right now. Just that she definitely loves this guy for some odd reason. This is the first time they've actually met, and I'm interested to see where this is going to go. And again, that's where the episode ends. And I'll hold my final thoughts and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. Now, we open up this episode not exactly where we left off. We see, it looks like a mother and child, or two little girls, more or less, you know, like a teenager and a little girl, and they're like dressed in rags, and they're just running away, and it's nighttime. But we don't know what they're running away from. But, you know, interesting how that opened up with, you know, we really don't know. But, again, that's where we open up with. Moving on to a different scene, now we are back to Yuusha and Mao. And they're just transporting around randomly. You're like, okay, where are they transporting to? First of all, they're like, it looks like they're in a snowy background. There's all the snow everywhere, and they're freezing their butts off. I thought it was funny. And then they transport one more place, I guess, and it's a nice, warm little village. And I thought it was nice, you know, it's a newly settled village in the middle of nowhere, and I guess a house has been prepared for them already. I mean, she is the Demon King, obviously she's got some connection somewhere. Just putting that out there. Now, moving on past that, we are introduced to a new character, kind of. She calls herself the head maid, but she's childhood friends with Mao, so kind of interesting. And she definitely is not a demon. At least she doesn't appear to be a demon, but again, she's called the head maid, and she doesn't have a real name. At least not in the anime series subtitle-wise that I was reading. She doesn't have a real name. She's just called the head maid. Now, this head maid already has a mansion prepared for, you know, Yuusha and Mao. I mean, how convenient. They wanted to go unnoticed, like they weren't like rich or anything. They weren't the demon and the hero, you know, the Demon King and the hero, and they're staying at a mansion. Yeah, come on, people are gonna notice. A rich girl pops out of nowhere. Yeah, just putting that out there. Again, they're under the delusion that Mao and Yuusha are married. So this head maid, she believes apparently Mao and Yuusha are married because they entered into a contract with each other, but, you know, to solve the, you know, the 15-year war crisis thing. And, you know, she explains, like, this is how I see it. You guys are married because you entered in a contract. It's the same as marriage. Oh, okay, I'll go with it. Obviously, those two are... Oh, Yuusha, he's not really convinced. Mao, she's head over heels for the idea because well, she likes the guy, so it makes sense. But sorry, I digress. Moving on, let's go to a different scene. Now, we're going to a different scene, and it opens up with the Demon King in general, and she's trying to explain, well, we're here, and everyone back at, the castle and everything else, they think either the hero is dead, Yuusha is either dead, or he ran away, while the Demon King is mortally wounded. At least that's the fake buildup of what occurred. So it's buying her time, at least 1 year, maybe longer, to actually go on this little quest with Yuusha. So, all these rumors are emerging that, okay, so the Demon King has been wounded, so that's why she's not around doing stuff, she's healing, while the hero, which is Yuusha, is either dead, ran away, they don't know. So I'm curious to see what his companions are actually going to be doing right now to find out what's going on, your companions can't be that stupid, they have to be doing something, But let's go on to a different scene now. We go to a different scene with Mao, and Mao actually has an interesting goal. Her goal is to increase this small village's agriculture, so over the years that it'll grow more, it'll be able to support itself. So it's like a 4-year cycle, because she's working with the farms right now. I love where she's going. She is definitely a very bright woman, so I think she has an interesting way to actually do things. She wants to eliminate the famine. Okay, that's no easy chore. To eliminate famine, that's like a lot of stuff to actually goes into getting rid of famine to begin with. So I can't wait to see where this is going to go. Moving on. Again, we open up with Mao, and it's now night. So it's nighttime now, not the next day, but it's, nighttime. And she wants Yuusha to rest on her lap. It's like she's trying to make it into like a very, not like political how she was talking about it, but she's being very adult about what she wants Yuusha to do without complicating things. She's being very direct, so she's not tricking him, but she's being honest. This is what she wants. She's like, Yuusha, I want you to rest on my lap. And Yuusha is like, your wish is my command, type of an attitude. I was like, yeah, of course, because this is something you want. You're just too bashful to admit it. But because your companion, the Demon King wants you to, in all, in faithfulness, just to, because this seat is nice. You're on the floor. Do it. Just come up, join me in my seat. Put your head in my lap. Let me stroke your hair. It's all soft. I'm like, I thought this was going somewhere. It was an interesting build-up. And it looks like they were about to kiss. But the build-up just before they were about to kiss, you do hear from Yuusha. He actually says, you have great thighs. It's like, no, they're not fat at all. It's like it was a turn-on of what he was saying, and it was in the moment, and they're about to kiss. And out of nowhere, you hear the horses screaming in the stables. They're making this loud noise. I'm like, yeah, that was perfectly cued, right? They were about to kiss. It was an interesting moment, just the two of them. And the horses make a screaming noise. So we're taken to a different scene with Yuusha, and Yuusha is now in the stables. He's trying to figure out, okay, why are these horses screaming? And he finds that they are 2 escaped women, or female. We don't know what their names are at all throughout this series, by the way, but they're 2 girls, a little girl and looks like a teenager, and they're in rags. These are the girls we saw at the beginning of the episode, and they're just hiding in one of the horses' stalls in the stables. I was like, I'm wondering why they hid there and what their main reasons are. So we're taken to a different scene with Mao, and apparently she points out they are not slaves. Apparently there was confusion. These 2 girls are not slaves because, slaves can't own stuff and whatnot, so they're serfs. Serfs can own tools, they can do all these things, but, they're still limited just like slaves are within their own right. So I'm kind of curious. Is slavery legal within this area? It looks so, but, they're serfs, they're not slaves. And apparently they decided to run away for God knows what reasons. And we do see Mao showing kindness. This is the first time, minus the first episode, we get to see her really use kindness toward people she doesn't even know. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Mao, and she takes these girls in because, she feels bad, mostly because of Yuusha. You can tell it's because of Yuusha. If it wasn't because of Yuusha, she probably wouldn't have been this nice, because the head maid kind of was like, you guys are like insects, you guys are the lowest life. I don't know if she was being direct because of that, but it's how it sounded. It sounded kind of horrible. But sorry, I digress. Again, we do see Mao invite these 2 girls into her house. She clothes them, she feeds them. She's really nice, to be honest. Very nice. And again, it's for Yuusha. I think it's for Yuusha's sake is why she's being so kind to these girls. Now we see the head maid yet again. Yeah, this head maid, she doesn't have a real name. She's called the head maid. And she's being very tough on these girls. Again, you guys are, insects, lower life. And it's a crime if we harbor you guys here. We got to report you, so on and so forth. So we are taken to a different scene with, again, the head maid. And she's convinced that, you know what? You girls don't have to go. she convinces Mao. Yeah, so you see the head maid convincing Mao to actually let these girls stay and become maids. You know, since this mansion is so big, we could use the extra help. I'm like, so you just insulted them, you called them insects, and you hated them, and you were going to report them like you did to these other girls, but you're showing kindness. Wow. Yeah, you're bipolar. Sorry, a little humor there, but I had to say it. You were thinking it, I was saying it. Done deal. But we are taken to a different scene with Yuusha, and it is the next day, and apparently he's talking about what's he going to do after the war, after everything's said and done. I mean, his only real skill is swordsmanship. That's it. He can't farm, he can't educate people. I mean, what can he really do? And he's talking to that little girl who was a serf, who is now a maid that works for the mansion they stay at, and she's eating bread. She looks really adorable. She's cute, you know, like a little sister. And again, we see Yuusha basically explaining to her, what am I going to do after the war? I just got swordplay, and that's it, you know? So that's where we're at there. So moving on past that, we're taken to a different scene with Mao. Now, Mao apparently is teaching the nobles of this little village, like the sons of the nobles, like she's educating them in warfare, strategy, not really agriculture yet, just more or less the history on the demon and the human wars that have been going on, and the right type of strategies to be used. And you see one of the noblemen, or the sons of a nobleman, being a little cocky and arrogant, saying, yeah, who cares about the food, you know, if we just go in head first, everything will be a-okay. Oh, come on. Strategy wise, if you go in head first with a battle, who's going to support your campaign? You have to feed your troops, pay your troops, and once your troops drop down to 30%, you got to hire mercenaries, and then you got to pay these mercenaries and make sure they're fed. So you see how it's kind of, you know, the downside of this guy's strategy. And she's like pointing out all of the demon strategies. I'm like, wait a minute, you're giving away your own secrets. I just thought it was funny. Now moving on past that, we see one of the new maids, that teenager that looks like well, she was a serf, now she's a maid. She's actually part of the little teaching lesson. She's part of it. And she's talking about, well, she asks about the crusade of the Holy Key. I'm like, well, what's the crusade of the Holy King? So we are taken to a different scene with another character. He's a nobleman, or a son of a nobleman. We don't even know his name. And he basically is going off in a little tangent saying about the crusade of the Holy Key is like a holy army formed by the Crisis Response Council. I'm like, what the hell is a Crisis Response Council? And he's like, well, they were formed by the Crisis Response Council of the Central Nations, and their basic goal is to kill demons and end the war. And I'm like, well, how's that going for you? It's been 15 years, and the best progression we've had is the Demon King and the hero have sided together. That's probably the most progression we've seen out of this 15-year struggle. That's just me, you know, being sarcastic, but I love being sarcastic. Moving on to a different scene. Now we open up with Yuusha, and apparently he meets up with Mao, and she's kind of a little annoyed and pissed off. She's in her own mansion, she's on the steps, and she's feeling a little down, annoyed, because these sons of noblemen, some of them, it's just not clicking. They're still thinking like war, you know, war's the only answer. But you know, no, it's not the only answer, but she is definitely annoyed. Now, I should also point out, she is educating them not just in warfare, but, you know, agriculture, so there is some benefit to what she's doing. Now, ironically, Yuusha wants to join her and go with her in her next lesson with the village elders, which is going to be her next stop, who she's going to educate, and Yuusha actually says, I'll join you. I'm like, okay, so Yuusha is going to be going with her. Now, we are taking to one last scene toward the end of the episode, and this is Mao's interesting scene, and apparently she has a secret weapon to solve this whole teaching people thing, I guess. I don't know if she's trying to re-educate people using magic, or if this secret weapon is something else. But again, she's at the village elder house. They're just outside with Yuusha, and she's telling Yuusha about her secret weapon. And again, that's where we end the episode at. As for final thoughts, oh, well, first of all, what is this secret weapon? Just had to put it out there. We don't know. Also, Yuusha, I wonder what else can you do? I mean, you can't farm and all that other stuff. Your swordsmanship is amazing, but you got to be able to do more. I mean, maybe you're going to marry the Demon King. Maybe that's your goal. We'll go with that for now. And I'll throw one more final thought out. What about Yuusha's companions? We really don't know where they're at and what's really going to happen. I mean, are they going to show up out of nowhere and attack him, think he's under the Demon King's control? We don't know. And again, that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I should give this a 3.5 out of 5 because we didn't see any fight scenes, really. But, you know, we saw a lot of emotion and a lot of information. So final rating, 4 out of 5. I'm being generous. Okay, bear with me. And again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Maoyuu Maou Yuusha Episode 2. But definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like, as well as sign up for my forum and check my other websites out. And that can all be found down below in my link, so check it out. Check it out. But again, guys, that ends it for now. Definitely let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think is going to happen in the next episode coming out. But guys, I gotta hit the bricks, I gotta go, and I got 2 more walkthroughs and reviews due today, so definitely stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I gotta hit the bricks. And before I go, I always say it, and I have to say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.